Hi everyone, hope you're all well. And it's a Luke and Brandon on a road trip one for this one. We're in Dover in Kent, and this is the church of St Mary sub Castro, which means St Mary below the Castro, also called St Mary de Castro and St Mary in Castro, St Mary in the castle. The church in the grounds of Dover Castle in Kent. It's heavily restored Anglo-Saxon structure built next to a Roman lighthouse, and became the church, which the Roman lighthouse here, which we're going to see afterwards, became the church bell tower. St Mary serves the local population and the army, and is the church of the Dover garrison. That's the Roman lighthouse there, which served for many years as the church's bell tower. Alright, mate. How's that for a lock? Here's its font. I'm taking photos as I go around, so it says doing 2 separate runs. It was heavily restored in the Victorian era to bring it back to what it is. This ancient church, having been roofless and used as a coal store during the 18th century, was restored by government for divine worship in 1862 under Sir Gilbert Scott, architect. Admiral Sir Bertram H. Ramsay. It serves as the garrison church for the castle. Do pause to read any of the descriptive histories. And here is its roll of honour. The Saxon doorway. That's an impressive, an impressive bit of stained glass there. And what I always say for last, the best bit, the high altar. And this is impressive. And you can see the hand of George Gilbert Scott here. To hand it to our Victorian forebears, they knew what they were doing. Now how's that for a bit of stained glass? That's beautiful, isn't it? That's the altar, that. Yeah, where they deliver the sermon from, where the sacraments will be kept. Yeah. If they're not screened off or cordoned off, you can, but when they're cordoned off, it's like... That'll be the sacristy or something where the priest robes himself and gets ready for the sermons and that. You can if you want. Please do not go past this sanctuary. It's nice to see they've incorporated some of the old floor tiles. Banners from battles, that'll be. You'll be joining us back outside in a minute, where we'll be covering the Roman Lighthouse. Oh. Welcome back outside, and that's its Victorian bell tower, added in much later times to the church. But here you're going to see a Roman lighthouse, which of course by its very name is Roman and is a lighthouse, which is desperately original, I know. Think of the history this has seen. I once sort of lit the channel to warn Roman ships. A couple of dead birds there as well. Augustus. I'll show you in here quickly because you can walk inside it, and then I'll walk you up the hill. You'll get some beautiful views of the channel. I love places like this with history all around us. Walking up the hill anyway. I bet you get some nice views from up here. Over 1,000 years old, this church. Harbour. A very clear day. You can see right across to France. With a good pair of binoculars you can see the town clock in the town of Calais. Right across the channel.
Kommt mal her, Jungs. Kommt mal schnell her und dann... Makes sense, you can do the 0.5, so you have everything. Thank you. Okay, okay, schau mal zu.
That's the Roman Lighthouse, Dover Castle. And it's only thanks to my nephew that we are here, because I don't drive. We'll hopefully be getting a look at some other things as well while we're in the area. But that's a maybe look. The ferry's making their way over to Calais. It could be, mate. And that, ladies and gents, concludes our coverage of St Mary in Castro and its Roman lighthouse. I hope you all found that interesting. So more images will follow at the end of the video. Well, I'm sorry about the wind towards the end of the video. That's one element I can't control, I'm afraid, but as I was saying, you'd see some historical images at the end of the video, and here we are. This is an engraving from 1780 showing the Church of St Mary in Castro at that time, which, as you can see, was in a bloody poor state of repair. No wonder it had to be so heavily restored by the famous George Gilbert Scott. Here's the church after its restoration, and with its Roman lighthouse next to it, 1874. And you can see the church has been beautifully restored. But look at the bell tower, that's not quite as it looks today, so it was even then still a work in progress. And you can see children playing cricket in the churchyard here, a close-up image of that. The boys in their straw boaters being watched by someone by the church door playing cricket in the churchyard. Here's a nice colour postcard from circa 1910 showing St Mary in Castro with its Roman lighthouse next to it, and the churchyard looked a pretty little scene back then, didn't it, with its flower garden, nicely laid out. And the Roman lighthouse, this is a reconstruction of how it would have looked and appeared in Roman times, and it dates to the 1st century AD and once shone light across the channel to guide Roman ships into the port of Dubris, which was the Roman name for Dover. Here we see it in 1840 in this lovely engraving, Dover Castle to the left and of course our lighthouse to the right. 1845, another engraving which shows the lighthouse and the church as well over to the right in an extremely poor state of repair. Here's the lighthouse in 1900, and as you can see in this image, it's got a great tall cherry picking ladder up against it, no doubt for people to have a peek inside. There was no health and safety regulations back in those days. And this public domain image from 2007 shows the white cliffs of Dover, and of course over to the right our lovely church of St Mary in Castro and the Roman lighthouse. I hope you've all enjoyed the tour, and thanks for watching.